All right, so coil construction. This is how to make a coil. I'm going to take this clay and start working it into a shape that's going to fit a coil better. So I'm working in a round shape and I'm starting to stretch it out. I want to get this coil, I want to get this clay in, as close to my end result as possible. It's a lot easier for me to do this by squeezing the clay than it is to sit and roll things a really long time. I mean, which is fine, but all right. So I want to get that pretty close. Stays pretty round. Now, I want this clay to roll 360 degrees. All right, it needs to go all the way around in order to stay round. If I just do this, it's not going to work, right? So I want it to roll. So it also, like standing up, so I can use my legs and my arms and everything getting into the coil, right? I'm just going to start rolling it, start adding a little pressure in the middle, and stretching out the clay to the left and to the right. If I push too hard, I get a flat side, and it sounds like having a flat tire. It's like pop, 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 pop. You hear it, right? You can fix it a little bit. If it starts getting, you can just put a little pressure on it, move it around. All right, let's get this rolling. And like I said before, I mean, I think at some point you probably just, grabbed something like this and just did it. And now, some people end up having problems figuring it out. It's really pretty easy. Just do it. I mean, just see what happens. Go back to your inner child. Ask them how to roll a coil. It's funny how people forget things like kids have no fear over certain things, and then all of a sudden you guys are worried about how something looks, or just be creative, get in there and do it. So I'm almost to my optimum thickness here with this piece of clay. All right, so that's about right. It's about the size of a finger. And I showed you earlier how to sort of attach them, but that's how to make one coil, right? Now this coil can make several things. Like you can make a single round thing, you can make an oval thing. I mean, I don't really see the point in making something square out of coils, because why would you do that if you can make slabs and do it much faster, right? So but something, let's just go. We're gonna go sort of oval shape. So if I wanted to start like that, I could start here and cut one piece and have that as a piece, and then another piece and another piece, and just stack it straight up. Or I can take this and overlap it, because I've made a longer coil. And then now I've got two coils, right? So the height keeps growing. But you also need to pay attention to direction, like where it goes from here. Like I would put this on a form, really. My whole point for this little demo is just to show you how to do a couple of different coils, okay? Not necessarily how to make a pot, right? You can pretty much how to make a pot, but I'll talk more about that one in the next one. But this is more about just how to do coils. So I'm gonna set this aside and work on another one. So now there's another way to do this. You can make fatter coils, right? So if you make fatter coils, that means you're probably going to have to do a little combination of both coiling and pinching, like from the pinch pots that we just did, right? You know how to pinch clay. So if you leave a coil that's a little bit fatter and then pinch. Some people like that because it gives them more control over where the clay is going, instead of like once they start mashing the coils down to attach them, they can kind of lose the form. So some people like the fatter ones and then pinch it because they're putting it in the place where it needs to be, or that place they want it. So I'm going to make this one tapered, right? So making it smaller on the ends and fatter in the middle. So now if I use this coil, right, that you can see that it's smaller here, bigger here, and then smaller there. So I can take this coil, you know, and overlap those tapered sides, and it'll be about the same size all the way around. Okay? So this would be another way. Now, with this coil, this one you're gonna have to like pinch the clay to get to that 1/4 of an inch. So we're gonna go ahead and pinch this. So now it's thinner, right? It's closer to what I showed you before, right? And you know, you can control it. You can pinch it out or you can pinch it in, right? So you can change the form of you can change which way things are going by which way you pinch it. So I kind of like the fatter coils, but I mean, it just requires another kind of step, right? So if you're not really into just pinching clay, I mean, I think we're always pinching clay anyway, like when you're working on stuff, even if slabs, coils, whatever, you know, you're always feeling the clay and adjusting it and taking thicker pieces and making them smaller, right? I mean, it's just kind of what we do. So this makes sense to work like this, right? If that's something you want to do. So that's another way to make a coil. So now I'm like even closer to where we talked about before. Remember this one, like to attach this, like you can score and slip each individual coil, but you don't have to do like that. Like if this clay is all the same wetness, I don't have to score and slip in between these coils. Like I can just start, and I'll start on the outside, get some of this in the camera. So if I push down this way, you can go all the way around. This is only if I don't want the coil as a decorative aspect, right? If I don't want the coil to dominate the outside and look like a coil pod on the outside, I would do this on the outside. Now, if I do want it as decoration, I certainly wouldn't want to do this on the outside. So I would have to do it, you know, on the inside. Something has to hold these together, right? So by mashing that clay around, and then you got to take the time to smooth things out too. I think tomorrow I'll show you more about just controlling the form, like actually start building something. But today, since there's still some of you still working on things, this is just like, you can see how I'm connecting the coil. So this becomes one piece of clay, right? And it's a lot like this piece of clay. Now, there's one more coil that I want to show you, or way to make a coil. So you can make coils like, I can make them flat. I can go ahead and not have to do, like, now this requires more scoring, slipping, and all that, but let's just use half of this. Okay. So I'm gonna roll out a coil now. That's gonna be somewhere in between, I guess, the last two. Just a little more water. And I'm not going to taper it. I just want to keep this one straight. So again, my hands are like the bottom of a rocking chair. They're like going back and forth like this. but also they're moving away from each other. So I'm creating this motion and then this motion. So I'm stretching the clay out and turning it all at the same time. So it's rolling around. All right, I'm gonna stop right there because that's pretty even. All right, so now this type of coil is gonna be flat. So just drop it like that. Probably could have done a little better. I want this to be even. All right, so I'm less worried about it even being even this way. I want it to be even this way, like this thickness, because that smooth that out. So look at that thickness right there, right? So that's about 1/4 of an inch. So now I would build this one. You can cut, you can score and slip. Right, if I want to cut this, make your attachment. Right, now you've got this section. So the next one would go here, right? So you've got to score, you probably want to score and slip this. You have less clay to push around, right, with this model, but it, you know, it's also it's probably gonna end up being a thinner pot, you know, a lighter weight. But you can make the seam, you know, I can get enough clay there to attach them together, but I would prefer you score and slip the two if you're gonna build something out of this kind of coil, right? It does stay, like you can, but that part will smooth out really easily. Like I can smooth that out, especially if I'm scoring and slipping, right? You can see that, but you can see here, and I didn't score and slip it, but I told you about it. That's all I need to do, right? Okay, so those are 3 ways to make coils to use for construction of a pot. And tomorrow we'll do actual pot construction